it's Carol. Welcome back to my channel. So this is going to be part 2 of the John Titor video that I actually just filmed, but you're seeing I'm not wearing the same outfit 2 days in a row. I'm filming this right afterwards. So this is the theories of who is John Titor, and you guys are going to be so shocked when I tell you who people think he might be. So John Titor was he could have been a very well-educated physicist, possibly worked at CERN and wanted to warn people about what was going on and like what they were working on there. So that's one theory. Another one is that John Titor was some kind of military or government worker with inside knowledge on these things, and he wanted to like speak up to warn people for some reason. Another one, that this is like the most probable one. The next one's the most like weirdly convincing and has the most like strange, crazy evidence. This is probably the more like probable one, and the one that I probably do believe that this is who he is. But there's a man named Larry Haber who claims he's the lawyer for the actual Titor family. He says that this Titor family, John Titor's family, actually exists. And that they hired Haber due to privacy and harassment lawsuits that the family had to file over the years. Larry Haber is a real working lawyer in Florida, where John Titor said that his family lives. Sorry, I keep messing with my hair. When the lawyers asked about the family, he says he cannot give out their location and that they go by a different last name now for their safety. Some people point the finger at Larry Haber, the lawyer himself, with all of this whole John Titor thing. Although he himself is not a scientist, his son is actually a computer scientist and engineer. So people think that it's possible that Larry and his son are actually John Titor and concocted all of this as like one big publicity stunt, which does sound very possible and like a logical explanation. But this next one is weirdly the most convincing and is just crazy. So, people think that John Titor may be Donald Trump. Yes, people think that Donald Trump may possibly be a time traveler. And as insane as you think I am right now and possibly about to click off the video, just hear me out. It's really, really crazy. So, there actually is a very possible and convincing theory. People think that while going back in time to retrieve the IBM computer his grandpa had, he also went back to get the schematics for a time machine that his uncle also had. So they think he went back to get the computer from his grandpa and then went back to get this time travel schematic that his uncle had, Donald Trump's uncle had, which, hear me out. And then he decided to stay in our timeline in order to become president and stop the war with ISIS. Sounds crazy? A lot of it is actually very true. So Donald Trump's uncle, who Trump said he actually saw him as a grandpa, so people think maybe that's why the whole John Titor going back to his grandpa, he could have just been talking about his uncle. But John George Trump was a very well-known scientist, engineer, and inventor. He was actually awarded the Ronald Reagan's National Medal of Science, and he was a member of the National Academy of Engineering. He was also noted for developing rotational radiation therapy. He actually developed the first 1,000,000-volt X-ray generator. So this guy was very, very smart. It's very possible that he had been the inventor, or at least helped invent, that secret code reading function on the IBM computer. And that's possibly why he had one. This is where the whole schematic for the time machine comes into play. So, Nikola Tesla, who I'm actually going to do a video about, was a very underrated genius who was often just brushed off as a mad scientist. His main focus of research was different kinds of like fantasy theories, such as free energy, which is crazy. I'll tell you guys more about that in that video. Anti-gravity, invisibility, and time travel. It was said that he also researched the possibility of using many black holes to create a time machine, and actually had a blueprint made of what this time machine would look like. This was never released to the public, so it could possibly be the blueprint that John Titor actually posted. When Tesla died in 1943, the National Defense Research Committee called on Professor John Trump to look into Tesla's work, just in case there was any kind of things the military could use. Professor Trump spent 3 days to himself going over all of Tesla's work and finally concluded and told the government that there was nothing of importance. But theorists believe that perhaps John Trump found Tesla's research into time travel and his designs for a time machine. Which is crazy. Trump spent a lot of time with his uncle before he died in 1985. In interviews, Donald Trump regularly brought up his Uncle John and how close they were. He said that his uncle would always warn him about how much danger nuclear weapons could cause. Trump said, "My uncle used to tell me about nuclear before nuclear was even a big thing." He also said, "He would tell me there are things that are happening that could be potentially very bad for the world in terms of weaponry." Even as a boy, his uncle would tell him about the power of weapons in the future, and the destructive force of these weapons would be massive to the world. So his uncle kind of like had knowledge about what was going on with the future and possible nuclear war, which is just crazy. This would also explain why everyone thought that Hillary was going to win, but last minute things changed. Maybe Hillary was supposed to win, but Trump time traveling and running for president kind of altered our timeline. So it's just crazy to think about. Trump has vigorously, either way, Trump's talked a lot about his fear and hatred towards nuclear weapons. He said one of his reasons for running was to keep Hillary from starting a nuclear war with ISIS, which she actually has said that she would have done. So Trump said on multiple occasions that, and this too, Trump said tons and tons of times, which he's actually famous for quoting, he said, "I know more about war and ISIS than the generals do, believe me." As much as we dismiss him as crazy, what if he's right? What if he does have this knowledge because he's a time traveler? So it's just pretty crazy to think about, but yeah, those are all the theories. It's still up in the air as to who John Titor was. Maybe he really was who he said he was, just a man named John Titor and came back and time traveled. But, it's more than likely that the whole thing is just fake, but it's just crazy to think about that all these coincidences and that he just had so much knowledge. Like, how do you know all this stuff, especially back in 2000, knowing things about now and knowing that CERN may possibly be working on this time traveling stuff right now. So it's just pretty crazy. So actually definitely look out for my CERN video. That way you can learn. It kind of correlates to this. So maybe this will make a little bit more sense if I screwed it up and told it horribly. And yeah. So hopefully you guys still enjoy this. And let me know what you think. Do you think that Donald Trump is possibly a time traveler? Or do you think John Titor's real? Or that this whole thing's just a big old hoax? Let me know in the comments down below, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Until then, stay creative, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.